Today we are going to start with a new topic, centers of origin. It is related to cultivated plants. Actually, we know there are hundreds of plants which can be continuously planted for the various purposes, particularly to get the grains. Vavilov, who has discovered centers of origin for the cultivated plants. The center of origin is a geographical area where the particular group of organism, either it may be domesticated or it may be wild, first originated on the earth. Although a few species may have been originated separately, but more than one place, but most of the species had their origin at the certain places and then the spread elsewhere. So these are the locations where the food grain or the cultivated crops can be originated. The information on origin of the crop plants is important in the breeding to locate the wild relatives related to the species and the new genes. Knowledge of the origin of crop plants is important to avoid the genetic erosion and the loss of germplasm due to the loss of ecotype or the habitat. So always these wild relatives of the cultivated plants helps us to preserve their germplasm so that the another hybrid or the cultivated varieties can be developed from those wild stocks. Here in the world there are about 8 Vavilov centers of origin. The first center is considered as the Chinese center of origin. It is considered to be the one of the most earliest and the largest independent center of origin of the cultivated plants. This center includes mountain regions of the central and the western China. The endemic species which are observed in these locations are particularly soybean, radish, turnip, pear, peach, plums. Here you can observe that one of them, those are common to us, we have shown here. These are the soybean beans, colocasia plants, then radish, brinjal, and here we can find the turnip. So these are the buckwheat, oranges. So these are some of the plants which are originated from the Chinese center of the origin. Then Himalayan center of the origin. Here it is also known as the Indian center of the origin. This center includes regions like the Assam, Burma, Indo-China border, and the Malayan archipelago. These are the areas which are normally located at the northern side of the India. The endemic species which are located to this area are particularly rice, red gram. Here you can observe that rice, red gram, then sugarcane. We can find the cowpea, moong dal, turmeric, and many varieties can be found here. So these are the common centers of the origin. Here also we can also find that the rice bean, cotton, turmeric, indigo, these are the varieties of the millets. So these are originated in the Himalayan center of the origin. Then another origin location we can find that it is the Mediterranean center of the origin, where you can find this is particularly at the border of Mediterranean Sea, and most of the cultivated vegetables have their origin in this region. So here you can find the cultivated vegetables are mostly originated from this location. The endemic species listed from the center includes, it is the durum wheat. Here you can find the various varieties of the durum wheat. So here the durum wheat, and these are the another varieties of that particular wheat can be observed here. Then immer wheat, oat, barley, lentils. These are all the varieties which are of the grains. Then peas, or we can say grass pea is there. Broad beans are there. Here you can observe the broad beans. Then cabbage, that pudina, peppermint is originated from this center of origin, that is the Mediterranean center of the origin. Another center of origin is the Abyssinian center of the origin, where you can find it is located at the Ethiopia and the parts of Somalia. The endemic species to this particular region are particularly include the wheat and sorghum, bajra varieties. Then safflower ज्याला आपण करडी म्हणतो. Then castor beans, broad beans, coffee, okra. These can be observed and originated from this location. Here you can find the wheat, jowar, bajri, करडी आपण ज्याला म्हटलेलं आहे. It is the safflower, then castor beans, and here you can observe the coffee beans. So these are originated from the Abyssinian center of the origin, which is defined by the Vavilov. The Central Asian Center. Here you can find this can be include the northwest India, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and the western China region of the world. Particularly in this location, we find there are some of the endemic species, which includes the bread wheat. A common wheat is there. Here you can observe that the bread wheat is there. Then club wheat. It is actually a club wheat. See the awns of that. It has quite compact awns are there. Then sesame, तीळ ज्याला आपण म्हणतो. Here you can find the sesame example. Then linseed, जवस. Here muskmelon, ज्याला आपण खरबुजा म्हटलेला आहे. Carrot, onion, garlic, apricot, grapes, hemp, cottons. So these are the plants which are having the origin at the Central Asian center of the origin. Then Asia Minor Center. In Asia Minor Center, the center covers near about the East Asian regions like the Iran and the Turkmenistan. And these are some of the fruits which are endemic to that particular area. Particularly varieties of the wheat is there having the origin. Then rye, here you can find the pomegranate, then almonds, rye, fig, ज्याला आपण अंजीर म्हणतो. So that is also originated in the Asia Minor Center. Here you can find the cherry plant which can be common in those regions. And these are some of the varieties of the alfalfa Persian plant where alfalfa seeds are also used. Then Central American Center. Here we find this center includes the southern part of the Mexico, Costa Rica, and the Guatemala, where we can find there are some of the species are endemic to this region, particularly the maize, then rajma beans. We know that rajma chawal, so rajma beans are here. So these rajma beans, lima beans, then watermelons, then pumpkin. Here you can find. So it is the pumpkin, then sweet potatoes, then cotton, papaya, guava, chilies. These are found or originated from the Central American center of the origin, which is defined by the Vavilov. Then another center is the South American center, and this center includes the Peruvian region. So here the Peruvian region, islands of the southern Chile, Brazil, and the Paraguay regions located where we can find the South American center. So it is having some of the common food plants where we can include the potatoes, which is common in every vegetable in India. So this potato actually originated from the South American center. Then we find the tomatoes, sweet potatoes, then lima beans, particularly the Nicotiana, ज्याला आपण तंबाखू म्हणतो, Nicotiana tabacum, is also originated from the Southern American center. Then quinine, cassava, rubber plants, particularly groundnuts, where we can find these are some of the cocoa plants. So this cocoa powder is shown here and cocoa seeds are there. So this is also originated from the Southern American center along with the pineapple also. So these are some of the common plants which are shown here as originated from the South American center of the origin. So these are the 8 basic center of the origin which has been described by the Vavilov. Here you can find the first is the Chinese center. Here you can find, so it is a Chinese center of the origin. Then second one, here you can find the second A and the second B, where these are the Himalayan centers. This third one is the Mediterranean center. Then fourth one is the Abyssinian. This fifth one is the Central Asian center. Then sixth one is the Asia Minor center. The seventh and eighth, here you can find the seventh one is the Central American center, and 8th and 8th A, B, C. These are the Southern American centers. So this is the actual map where these locations and their expansion has been shown on the map. So here these are the 8 basic centers that we just have studied about what type of the plants has been originated from these centers. We go little deeper in the sense we just have discussed about the common names of the plants which are originated from that region. But now we go for the botanical names and the region-wise study. Here we can find a man who has given the centers of origin. He is basically a Russian scientist. It is a Nikolai Vavilov. He and his colleagues visited several countries and collected a large number of crop plants and their wild relatives. They used this collection in the Russian breeding program and developing the improved varieties out of that. His studies are based on the evidences from the morphological, anatomical, cytological, and genetical plant geographical distribution of the plant. And on those parameters, he has given such type of the locations. He stated that the plants were not domesticated at random, but it was a continuous process. So it is a long life process which has been considered by the Vavilov. And he published his results in 1926 and developed a theory of the centers of origin of the cultivated plants. So this Nikolai Vavilov has given us a broad clue from where the plants, cultivated plants, have been originated. Here you can find here common plants are given in the bracket, and these are the areas where they have been particularly located. If we talk about the Central Asia, here you can observe that the common millet, buckwheat, alfalfa, hemp, these are all have been studied. So these are the basic centers of origin from where we can get the list of plants from where they have been originated. So this is all about the centers of origin all over the world in the one slide. Though it is a quite promising distribution of the locations from the various cultivated plants have been originated, the theory of Vavilov has some limitations. Vavilov has considered the region of greatest genetic diversity of the species at the center of origin of that particular species. But today we know that many such species are known whose centers of origin and the genetic diversity are different. For example, maize and tomato, these are not actually originated from the locations where the Vavilov has been shown. The second important point is that the center of origin of cultivated plants, as per the Vavilov, are located to the mountains and the small hills of the tropical and subtropical region. Means he has decided that all the hilltops have been started the origin of the cultivated plants. But recently, the recent evidences shows that the plains as the center of origin, not the higher altitudinal regions or the peaks. So the plains as the center of origin of the many cultivated plants. So this point also has some limitations. The third important point that the several crops are known whose centers of origin are different from the suggested by the Vavilovs. But moreover, we can say that there is more than one center of origin is also possible. And today we know that the many plants can be originated from the different locations. Vavilov's primarily center is marked. Vavilov primary center is marked by the high frequency of dominant alleles towards the center and recessive towards the periphery. So on the basis of presence of alleles of that particular species, it has been marked. But this view is not acceptable today as per the latest knowledge we gain from the various studies. So these are some of the limitations of the Vavilov's views regarding the centers of origin, where we can find some of the common plants are there in those regions. It is the far eastern crops. So here in far eastern crop, we find these are the aduske beans, yellow bananas, red bananas, green bananas, soybean, coconut, millets, yams, sugarcane, and rice. These are been evolved or originated from the far eastern areas. The largest independent center, which includes the mountainous region of the central and western China and the adjacent lowlands, are considered in the old world, and it has about 136 endemic plants. They are listed, among which few are known as to be the important for us. Here you can find that the broomcorn millet, it is the Panicum millesium. Then Italian millet, it is the Panicum. These are the species of Panicum, where it may be the Millesium italicum or it may be the Fumentaceum. Then it is the Kauliang, it is the Andropogon sorghum. Then buckwheat, it is the Phagopyrum esculentum. Then hull-less barley, it is the Hordeum hexasticum. Soybean, Glycine hispida. Then Adusque bean, it is the Phaseolus species, Phaseolus angularis. And the velvet bean, it is the Stizolobium hasazu. So these are the common plants originated from the old world, particularly in the Chinese origin. Old world has the many locations, so it has been splitted the all region. So it is the Chinese yam, it is the Dioscorea batatas, then radish, Raphanus sativus. These are also originated from the Chinese origin. Then Chinese cabbage, Brassica chinensis or Brassica pekinensis. Onion, it is the Allium species. Various species can be there. Then cucumber, that is the Cucumis sativus. So these are also found in some of the Chinese origin regions. Then pear, Pyrus sirotina. Then Chinese apple. Then Malus asiatica. Peach, which is Prunus persica. Apricot, Jardalu आपण त्याला म्हणतो, it is the Prunus. It is the Armenica. Cherry, Prunus, it is the Pseudo Cerasus. Walnut, Juglans sinensis. These are some of the species. So we just go for that. Saccharum sinensis, Papyrus somniferum, Panax ginseng. Then it is the Cinnamomum camphora, Cannabis sativa. These are also originated from the Chinese origin. Then in old world, we find the second center, that is the main center, which is known as the Hindustan, includes the Assam and Burma, but not northwest India, particularly not Punjab or the northwest frontier provinces. Here also we find there are the 117 plants were considered to be the endemic in Assam and Burma location. So these are some of the plants. The main center, we call them as a Hindustan center, which is located at the Assam and Burma region. Oryza sativa, Cicer areatinum, Cajanus indicus, Phaseolus mungo, then Phaseolus aureus, then Phaseolus calcaratus, and Vigna sinensis. These are the from the Assamese and Burmese origin. Then the second location where we can find the Solanum melanogena, eggplant, ज्याला आपण ब्रिंजल म्हणतो. Then cucumber, it is the Cucumis sativus, Raphanus caudatus, Colocasia antiquorum, Dioscorea alata, Mangifera indica. The common names have been shown here on this side, and I am reading just the botanical names of those plants. Then orange sinensis, Citrus nobilis, Citrus medica, Tamarindus indica, ज्याला आपण चिंच म्हणतो. These are also originated from the Burmese and these locations. Then sugarcane, Saccharum officinarum, coconut, Caucasus nucifera, तीळ ज्याला म्हणतो Sesamum indicum, करडी, Catharanthus tinctorius, kapas, Gossypium arboreum, Gossypium necking. Then jute, it is the Corchorus capsulis, ज्याला आपण ताग म्हणतो. Then Crotalaria gentiana, and the kenaf is the Hibiscus cannabinus. Though they are not we can say identified plants for particular region, but these are the dominant species. Those are naturally found in those regions and we are utilizing today. Then cannabinus indica, hemp, Piper nigrum, ज्याला आपण गम अरेबिक किंवा त्याला डिंकाची बाभूळ म्हणतो. इट इज अकेशिया अरेबिका, सॅन्क्टलम अल्बम, चंदन ज्याला आपण म्हणतो. निळेचं झाड, इंडिगोफेरा टिंक्टोरिया. देन सिनामोमम, इट द सिनामोम, इट इज द झिलॅनिकम. क्रोटॉन टिग्लियम आणि बांबुसा, ज्याला आपण बांबू म्हणतो, बांबुसा टुल्डा. So these are some of the common species. Those are found in the main center. Then another one is the Indomalan Center. In Indomalan Center, it can be include the Indochina and the Malay Archipelago. Here we find the 55 plants were listed, and this is the Indochina border. So this part 1 and part 2. Here you can find the this location where we can find the Indomalan Center is there, and here about 55 plants are there. Some of the common and important plants are there. It is the jobsteers, ज्याला आपण म्हटलेलं आहे, Coix, it is the Coix lacrima, then Mucuna utilis, Citrus grandis, banana plant, that is the Musa species. Musa paradisica is the common that we eat banana. Musa sapientum is the wild variety of those. Then Artocarpus communis, then Garcinia, Mangostana. So these are the originated from the Indomalan Center. The another Indomalan Center can show the origin of the candle nut. It is the Oritus mollucana, then Caucasus nucifera, coconut आपल्याला माहित आहे, Saccharum officinarum, sugarcane, then the Caryophyllus aromaticus, that is the clove, लवंग ज्याला आपण म्हणतो, then nutmeg, जर्दाळू आपण त्याला म्हणतो, Myristica fragrans, then black pepper, Piper nigrum, मिरे आपण त्याला म्हणतो, and the Manila helm, which is the Musa textilis. It is again the species of banana. So this is also originated from the Indomalan Center. Then Near Eastern crops. Near Eastern region is nothing but the Eastern region ज्याला आपण म्हटलेलं आहे की इंडोमलाइन चायनीज सेंटरचा खालचा भाग. तर तो जो 7th सेंटर आपल्या इथे दिसलेला होता. Here you can find these are the common plants which are found in those regions. First is the lentils. इथं आपल्याला ते दिसतं. Then chickpea म्हणजे आपले हरभरे. Then third one is the salt, rock salt we can be observed here. Then fourth one is the peas, वाटाणे आपण त्याला म्हणतो. The fifth are nothing but the raisins, dinka आपण ज्याला म्हणतो. Raisins, not dinka, raisins. Then the olive, then barley, walnut, almonds, here you can observe that. Then pistachio nuts at the number 10, where you can say the pistas. Then apricots, zardalu आपण त्याला म्हणतो. Then dates, khajur, wheat, here you can observe the 13 number wheat. Then fig, 14, ज्याला आपण अंजीर म्हणतो. And the fava beans, these are the larger beans, can be eaten as the vegetables. So here you can observe that. So these are the Near Eastern crops can be located at these regions. Here you can observe that Near Eastern is nothing but the region where we can find the Punjab northeast and the Afghanistan, then Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and the Western Tian Shan. This center listed about the 43 plants, including the many varieties of the wheat. A list of the plants were Triticum vulgar, Triticum compactum, Triticum spirocerum, then Pisum sativum, Lens esculenta, lentils आपण ज्याला म्हटलेलं आहे. Then Vicia faba, Cicer aeratinum ज्याला आपण हरभरा म्हणतो. Phageolus aureus, Brassica gentiana, Linum utilissimum, flax ज्याला आपण म्हटलेलं आहे, आणि तीळ, Sesamum indicum. So these are the Near Eastern crops which are originated in those regions. Then Ilium cepa, Ilium sativum, then Spinacia oleracea, पालेभाज्या ज्या आहेत प्रामुख्यानं Dacus carota, गाजर, Pistacia vera, then Pyrus communis, it is the Amygdalus communis, almond ज्याला आपण म्हणतो, Vitis vinifera, grapes, and the Malus pumila, it is the apple. So these are the species also grown in those regions. Then the Asia Minor, this Asia Minor is nothing but it is the Transcaucasia, Iran, and the highlights of the Turkmenistan. So here again you can find these are the locations, and having the 9 species of the wheat are located in particular this region. Totally there are about 83 species can be observed. So most of the Triticum varieties are noted in the Asia Minor. These are some of the plants where you can find the fruits and the vegetables. The Medicago sativa alfalfa plant is there, which can be used as a seed, used for the seeds as well as the vegetable. Then Persian clover, there is a trifolium, रिसुपिनॅटम, देन ट्रायगोनेला फोएनम, फेन्युग्रीक ज्याला आपण सोप म्हणतो, वेच, विशिया विलोजा, फायकस कॅरिका ज्याला आपण अंजीर म्हणतो, ट्युनिका ग्रॅनेटम, मॅलस प्युम्युलो, पायरस कम्युनिस. These are the fruits can be easily observed in India also. Then it is the Cydonia oblonga, Prunus cerasus, then Crataceous azarolus. So these are the species which can be originated from the Asia Minor region. Then we shift to the Mediterranean Sea area. We already discussed major plants of this region, but still in all there are 84 plants, including the olive and the many cultivated vegetables are the forages. This is particularly located in the Mediterranean Sea area. So overall, most of the members are the grassy. There are some common plants, that Egyptian clover, then white clover, crimson clover. These are the species which can be of mostly the trifolium, and these are observed in the Mediterranean Sea area. So these are the common species can be observed in the Mediterranean Sea. Then Abyssinia, Eritrea, and the Somalia area. This is also known as the Ethiopia. And this center, Ethiopian center, is list about the 38 species, which is mostly rich in the wheat and the barley. In the grass species are the more in those areas. So most of the species you can observe here, these are the grasses species, and we originated from the Abyssinia and Eritrea and the Somalia areas. हे झालं सगळं ओल्ड वर्ल्डच्या बाबतीत. न्यू वर्ल्ड क्रॉप्स ज्याला आपण अमेरिकन कॉन्टिनेंट म्हटलेलं आहे. सो इन अमेरिका वी फाइंड दीज आर द कॉमन प्लांट्स विच कॅन बी ऑब्झर्व, particularly the beans, then lima beans, then it is the manioc, potatoes, then the summer squash, acorn squash, dried chili pepper. Here you can observe that, and then fresh chili pepper, green chili ज्याला आपण म्हणतो. Then corn cob, chili peppers, cocoa beans. It can be observed. You can see number wise here we have shown that. Then pinto beans, pumpkin seeds. So these are the common plants which can be originated from the New World crops locations. It is particularly these two locations, the American locations, that is the Mexico, Guatemala, and the Honduras, and the Costa Rica. So these are the areas where you can find some species has been grown, particularly the maize, phaseolus, Canavalia, and the many varieties of the amaranthus can be found in these locations. So cucurbita, cucurbitaceous plants are also common in those regions. Cucurbita ficifolia, cucurbita moschata, then the Sechium eduli, Gossypium species, particularly the cotton species Gossypium, hirsutum, and the Gossypium purpurescens. Then one of the important plant, that is the chayote. It is the Sechium eduli, is also originated in the American continent. The sweet potatoes, then arrowroot ज्याला आपण Maranta arandaceae म्हटलेला आहे. Papaya, carica papaya, it is the common. Guava is common in our region also. Cashew is also common in our region also. So these are the plants which are observed in the locations where there is the New World areas. The American continent have shown the origin of these cultivated plants. Then second zone is the 8th zone, where we can find the A, B, C. So here A is nothing but the Peruvian, the Ecuadorian center, Bolivian center. So these are the centers have been shown, and it has some common plants in that origin. So this is the 8th A center, that is the Peruvian center. Particularly the potatoes and the Solanum indigenum are species which are grown in those regions, and the edible nasturtium is also growing in those regions. These are some of the common plants, particularly the maize. Then Phaseolus lunatus, Phaseolus vulgaris, Canna edulis, Solanum species, members of the most of the members of Solanaceae and Cucurbitaceae can be observed and originated from this center of the origin. Then many varieties of the cucurbitaceous members, many species of cucurbitaceous member can also be observed, particularly the passiflora flower. The passiflora ligularis is common in those regions. Then Gossypium species, Gossypium barbadens is the originated from this region. Particularly the quinine tree, cinchona, and the nicotiana. These two plants are originated from the Peruvian origin. Then the southern child, this one is the 8th center, we can say, the B part, particularly this location. And this is the coastal region of the coastal child, where we can find the common potato, Solanum tuberosum, and the strawberries have been evolved in those regions. Along with that, we find that manured species, Arachis, peanut, Arachis hypogaea, rubber plant, pineapples, then Brazilian nuts and the cashew nuts are also originated from the southern child. So this is all about the centers of origin, which has been originated from the various parts of the world. And this theory has been given by the Vavilov.